a brand new United States Army Air Force auxiliary airfield. Construction cost, hundreds of thousands of 1940s dollars. Buildings, pristine. Personnel, ready to move in. Time to full operational status, 48 hours. Time to total incineration, 15 minutes. Cause of destruction, 6 hibernating bats with tiny napalm bombs. Enemies killed, 0. American assets destroyed, 1 entire base. Welcome to the bunker. I'm Professor Von Blunder, and today we're diving into one of the most spectacular own goals in military history. Picture this. It's 1944. America needs to firebomb Japan, but planes are expensive and pilots are even more expensive. Some genius, and I use that term very loosely, proposed a solution. Why not freeze millions of bats into hibernation, strap miniature incendiary bombs to them, drop them over Japanese cities at dawn, and let them roost in all those lovely wooden buildings before the timers go off? Brilliant, right? Nature's little kamikazes. The program was real, the tests were real, and the disaster? Oh, that was very, very real. Let me tell you about the day Dr. Louis Fieser wanted some publicity photos. Dr. Louis Fieser was the Harvard chemist who invented napalm. He was also the kind of guy who couldn't resist a photo op. The bat bomb program was his baby, and if there was ever going to be a training film, he wanted his face front and center, heroically holding weaponized mammals. In military photography terms, that means he wanted to look like a badass holding weaponized mammals. So one warm afternoon at Carlsbad Auxiliary Airfield in New Mexico, Fieser asked the BAT team to prepare some live incendiary devices for a photo shoot. The team, led by a guy with the magnificent name of Fletch, chilled down half a dozen bats until they were semi-torpid. Basically, bat popsicles. They strapped tiny napalm capsules to each one. Here's the thing, the team warned Fieser. They told him it would take less than 10 minutes on this warm afternoon for the chilled bats to heat up and become completely active. 10 minutes. The timer on each bomb, 15 minutes, activated by a corrosive chemical eating through a wire. Think of it like setting 6 kitchen timers, strapping them to pigeons, and hoping they all sit still until the ding. Now, if you were handed 6 bats with ticking napalm bombs, what would you do? Probably arm them one at a time, right? Take your photos quickly, then disarm them. Fieser armed all 6, one after another. Click, 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 click. Injected the copper chloride into every single capsule. The cameras snapped and whirred. The bats started to wake up, and Fieser suddenly realized he was holding half a dozen tiny flying firebombs with a 15-minute countdown. Oops. Within minutes, all 6 bats were fully awake and fully angry. Fieser shouted for a net. By the time the team arrived, the bats were already airborne, armed, ticking, and heading for the nearest structures. In tactical terms, that means the weapon actively chose its own targets, and every single one was American. The control tower, with its tall, conspicuous structure, attracted one bat like a magnet. The barracks attracted another. The office buildings and hangars got the rest. The team could do nothing but watch the sky and wait for the smoke. 15 minutes. That's how long the timers were set for. Fieser had confirmed it himself when he armed them. At exactly 15 minutes after the first injection, a barracks burst into flames. Minutes later, the control tower erupted into a massive candle visible for miles. Then the offices, then the hangars. The timing was perfect, mathematically flawless. Fieser had just proven, beyond any doubt, that his chemical delay mechanism worked to the minute. He had also proven that bat bombs were devastatingly effective at incinerating American military infrastructure. The fires spread, building to building. The entire auxiliary airfield became a blazing inferno. Private Timmy, who'd been handed a hand net and told to catch supersonic flying mammals with live explosives, stood in the middle of the chaos watching his eyebrows singe off. Let's review the scoreboard, shall we? Control tower, flames. Barracks, flames. Offices, flames. Hangars, flames. Timmy's faith in military intelligence also flames. There was no firefighting equipment on site. Why? Because this was supposed to be a photo shoot with unarmed bats. Secrecy meant no firefighters. Secrecy also meant no way to stop the base from burning to the ground. Here's where it gets even better. The Carlsbad Auxiliary Airfield wasn't some abandoned test site. It was brand new. The brainchild of a very proud Air Force colonel who commanded the nearby main base. He'd just finished construction. Personnel were about to move in. And then the Army Chemical Warfare Service showed up, took over his airfield, locked him out, and refused to tell him what they were doing. Classified, they said. Confidential, they said. He wasn't even allowed on his own base. The colonel was furious. Then he saw the smoke. Huge black pillars curling into the sky from the direction of his pristine new airfield. He grabbed 3 fire engines and raced to the gates. The gates were padlocked. On his own base, he screamed at the guards to open up, and then an Army lieutenant colonel, lower rank than the Air Force colonel, walked up to the chain-link fence and told him to go away. In diplomatic terms, that means a lower-ranking officer told his superior to go away while watching that superior's brand new base burn to ashes. Imagine your neighbor borrowing your garage, burning it down, then refusing to let you put out the fire because it's classified. How would you explain to your boss that you burned down his base to protect a secret about exploding bats? By the time the argument ended, there was nothing left to save. The tower was a charred skeleton. The buildings were smoldering ruins. The Chemical Warfare Service then requested a bulldozer to grind any evidence into the dirt. The Air Force colonel nearly had an aneurysm. The bat bomb program nearly got cancelled on the spot. And Timmy? Timmy was sitting in the ashes, covered in soot, wondering if his enlistment paperwork had a refund policy. Let's bring out the stupidity meter, shall we? We're rating this glorious disaster on 3 critical factors. First, money wasted. A brand new auxiliary airfield, fully constructed, ready for operations. Hundreds of thousands of 1940s dollars gone, incinerated, because of 6 bats and a photo shoot. Second, enemies killed. 0. Not a single Japanese soldier, sailor, or airman was harmed. The only casualties were American buildings and American pride. Third, collateral damage to Timmy. Private Timmy got singed eyebrows, mild smoke inhalation, and severe psychological trauma from trying to catch flying firebombs with a butterfly net. He's still in therapy. Final score, 9 out of 10. I'm only deducting 1 point because, technically, the timers worked perfectly. FISA proved his chemical delay mechanism was accurate to the minute. He just proved it on the wrong target. So here's my question for you. If you had unlimited military funding in 1944, what's the dumbest weapon you would invent? Let me know in the comments. And pour one out for Timmy. He's still trying to explain this one to the insurance adjuster. Stay dangerous, my friends.